Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about a scary topic which intimidates a lot of people, which is taxes. And the most common question I usually get is, do I need to pay taxes if I only have a couple sales? So this is the topic we're going to be talking today. So if you want to learn a little bit more about it, make sure that you watch all the way to the end of the video. And if this is your first time visiting my YouTube channel and you want to learn how to build an impactful online business, don't forget to subscribe today, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below with any questions you have. So let's go ahead and dive in. So like I mentioned, I get this question asked a lot. And a lot of times, a lot of people tell me, well, I only got, 3 or 4 sales. I talk to my colleagues, or I talk to friends, or I talk to even other Etsy sellers, and they have told me I don't have to pay taxes. Now, my biggest recommendation before we start talking about taxes is to talk to a local tax person or an accountant. It is very, very important as a small business owner, even if you are just starting, to do things the right way. You don't want to be in 1 year from now, owing so much money because you were too scared to talk about taxes. This is something that I think majority of Etsy sellers are confused on. They don't really understand it, and they have not went out of their way to contact someone that could give you advice legally the correct way. A lot of times we take advice from strangers, from people like myself on YouTube, or from other Etsy sellers, or even family and friends. But in my own opinion, the best person you could take advice from is somebody that they're an expert in this niche. Now, the IRS doesn't care if you are a small shop with a couple sales. The moment you open an Etsy shop, you're opening it because you have an intent to make a profit. So an Etsy shop, a lot of people say, well, this is my hobby. It's not a hobby. A hobby is something that you do at home and you don't get paid for. Now, some businesses are considered as a hobby. In my opinion, if you open a store, you spend money to open the store, and your intent is to make money, to me, that's a business, regardless if you have 1 sale or regardless if you have 30 sales. So in most cases, the moment you make a sale, you're going to have like sales taxes that need to be collected. And if you do have those sales taxes, consider yourself as a business, because if it was a hobby, you wouldn't have to pay taxes on. And when you make a single sale, now you have revenue that you need to report to the IRS on your Schedule C as a sole proprietor. So when you still are making, when you start kind of making more sales, that's when you're kind of be more responsible to make payments to the IRS every quarterly, which are called self-employment taxes. Like, you will be responsible to take a portion of whatever you made for that month on Etsy and pay back to the IRS. They don't take the taxes away like a regular job does. You will be responsible to do that. The best advice on that topic, what I tell everyone, is set your payment from Etsy once a month. If you set it like every week or every other day, you'll end up spending the money that you make back and you never put anything away. What I normally do is I set it up for once a month. So if I collect $2,000 from Etsy, I'll take like $600 from there, pay the taxes, and whatever's left is my money. This way I don't have to worry about trying to, getting paid every week, and then I forgot to go ahead and make a payment at that given moment. So that's just how I do it. That's my recommendation for everyone to do it. This way you don't get yourself in a hole, or at the end of the year when you start filing for taxes, you don't owe for the previous year. So just keep that in mind. And also keep in mind that the moment you start spending money, like maybe you have like a digital store like I do, and you start buying clip art to make your digital products, or maybe you bought something, to start creating your knitting, or start creating the sweater, or whatever you sell. The moment you start spending money to increase your profit, you are considered a business, because now you have business expenses that need to be also reported on your Schedule C. And that's going to help you reduce your taxable income, which is the great thing about owning a business. Because once you own a business, you could go ahead and report your expenses. So just keep those things in mind. This is something important that every Etsy seller should know, no matter how small you think you are starting. Keep in mind, you have to start to be great, but you don't have to be great to start. So keep that in mind. You're starting, and at the end of the day, you don't know how big you're going to get. You could blow up by next year. So I have a link below this video if you guys are interested in QuickBooks Self-Employed. If you use that link, it is an affiliate link, so I do get a commission, but you guys get 50% off your first 6 months. If you don't have QuickBooks, I highly recommend signing up. They have a system set up that you're able to go ahead and make your quarterly payments. It tracks everything. You're able to add expenses that you spend for your business. It's really, really easy and user-friendly, and they have amazing customer service in case you need help. You could also put in other businesses that you have, like if you have Amazon or any other small business that you have expenses, you could connect those stores as well and have a reporting for each one. And you could also do your actual business as well. Not your actual business, your actual employment as well when you do your taxes. For me, that I have a full-time job and I also have a full-time business, I implement both when I do my taxes. I'm using TurboTax with QuickBooks. So just keep that in mind. It's really, really nice. And I absolutely love it. So I will leave the link below if you guys are interested. I did want to take a quick peek at the IRS website. I'm going to leave the link to the actual post that I'm going to show you. And we're going to be looking at 5 questions that you should ask yourself as an Etsy seller. And this is going to help you determine if you are a hobby or if you are a business. And this is really important because a lot of people say, oh, I'm a hobby. I just started. Everyone keeps telling me I don't really need to report it. Well, these are the 5 questions that's going to help you determine that. And if you still don't know after looking at these 5 questions, I highly recommend, especially that the new year's coming up, maybe you want to start 2020 the correct way, I highly recommend talking to a tax accounting person. So let's go ahead and look at those 5 questions really quick. Okay, so here we are at irs.gov, and this is a page that they talk about if you are a hobby or business. These are questions that you should ask yourself to decide which one you are. And it says here, millions of people enjoy hobbies that are also a source of income. And this is where the confusion comes, that people say, well, you could claim that as a hobby. And from catering to cupcake baking, crafting, homemade jewelry, to glass bowling, no matter what a person's passion, the Internal Revenue Services offers some tips on hobbies. So then you read all of these here, and these are kind of like the rules on how to report the income and expenses that you use, whether it's a hobby or a business. So keep in mind, even if you say, I do this as a hobby, you still have to report it to the IRS. A lot of people think that, well, if it's a hobby, I don't have to report it. If it's a business, I do. Well, this is going to clarify it. If it's a hobby, you still have some deductions that you still have to tell the IRS, because they still have to give you some deductions. So it's really, really important. In my opinion, it's better as a business because then you could write expenses. As a hobby, you really can't do that. So just keep that in mind. You might actually end up owing more money as a hobby than you would as a business. So these are the 5 questions that you should be asking yourself. Is it a business or hobby? So it tells you a key feature of a business is that people do make a profit. People engage in a hobby for sport or recreation, not to make a profit. Consider 9 factors when determining whether an activity is a hobby. So you could click here and it will tell you those 9 factors. So let's look at them real quick. So the 9 factors are whether you carry in the activity in business-like manner, whether the time and effort you put in the activity indicate you intend to make a profit, whether you depend on income from the activity for your livelihood, whether your losses are due to circumstances beyond your control, whether you charge your methods of operating in attempt to improve profitability. I mean, if you read all of these and you're making profit from Etsy, it sounds like Etsy is a business. It does not sound to me that it's a hobby, because all of these things here are business related, and that's what we do, whether we have one sale or we got 4,000 sales. So you might want to read these as well. Allowable hobby deduction. So within certain limits, taxpayers can usually deduct ordinary and necessary hobby expenses. An ordinary expense is one of the most common accepted for the activity. A necessary expense is one that's appropriate for the activity. 3. Limits on hobby expenses. So generally, taxpayers can only deduct hobby expenses up to the amount of the hobby income. If hobby expenses are more than income, taxpayers have a loss from the activity. However, a hobby loss can be deducted from other income. You see what I mean? Like, it's so many rules. But if your hobby becomes more than your expenses, then it's an income that taxpayers have a loss from. So you have to keep that in mind as well. How to deduct hobby expenses. So this kind of tells you how to do that. As you can see, you could still deduct it. But they have a special rules that apply to each type. And then use IRS free file. So hobby rules can be complex, so clicking here can make filing a tax easier. Taxpayers earning $64,000 or less can use brand name tax software. Those earning more can use blah, blah, blah. So in my opinion, after reading all of these 5, and based on what I have talked to other people that are tax experts, if you start making profit and you keep selling on Etsy with the mindset that you want to make more money, that's considered a business regardless of the amount of sales you have. Whether you made $5 or you made $30 or you made $4,000, it's still considered a business. So this is just my opinion. Do not run with this. What I recommend, again, is talking to someone that's an expert in law and is an expert in taxes. They'll be able to give you the same information from the IRS. They should be able to give you like a PDF file. That's what I normally get with whatever you talked about that directly is from the IRS. Like you almost want, like Etsy sellers have a handbook where you could kind of go back and reference. You kind of need the same thing with the IRS. You'll have like a page that you could go back and reference that should have all the information that this person is giving you. So I hope that this video was a little bit helpful to opening your eyes when it comes to having a business on Etsy and how you should conduct it. Please let me know below if you like videos like this about taxes. I'll be more than happy to create some on the few things that I know about taxes. I don't know everything, and it's constantly changing with new laws and regulations all the time. So what I'm saying today might be different in a couple years from now. So make sure that you leave a comment below. Let me know if you enjoy these videos, and thank you for watching.